Imagine a global fashion industry where luxury brands in Paris and New York typically dictate trends. But suddenly, the tables are turned. The most influential designers in the United States are jostling and jockeying to design stage outfits for a single band. How does BTS wield such power? Number 8. The ultimate global billboard, Kim Jones for Dior. In 2019, the high fashion landscape shifted permanently when Kim Jones, the artistic director of Dior Menswear, personally designed custom stage costumes for BTS's Love Yourself, Speak Yourself World Tour, marking the absolute first time in history that the storied French luxury house created custom men's performance wear for a pop group. Before this historic intersection, top-tier Western luxury brands rarely looked towards Seoul for custom stage wardrobes, but Jones recognized an unprecedented shift in global cultural influence and capitalized on it. He adapted the utilitarian, futuristic silhouettes of his pre-fall 2019 collection, featuring industrial cargo pants, structural bombers, tactical harnesses, and intricate robot dinosaur and cherry blossom motifs by Japanese artist Hajime Sorayama, specifically customizing each piece to align with the distinct movement, posture, and personality of individual members. This was not a passive brand endorsement, it was a highly strategic positioning that broadcasted Dior's modern design codes directly to millions of highly engaged fans filling sold-out stadiums from Los Angeles to London. By placing his high-fashion creations on a group capable of commanding immediate, massive digital and physical attention, Jones proved that BTS was no longer just consuming global fashion trends, but actively dictating the commercial and aesthetic direction of menswear worldwide. It became a masterstroke of marketing genius that left American fashion executives scrambling to secure a piece of the group's unstoppable momentum. Number 7. The subversive American vanguard, Rick Owens. For their high-profile stadium performances, including the monumental Permission to Dance on Stage concerts in Los Angeles, BTS bypassed conventional commercial luxury to lean heavily into the dark, avant-garde universe of legendary American designer Rick Owens. Known for his uncompromising anti-fashion ethos, Owens' industrial, post-apocalyptic aesthetic became the perfect visual catalyst for BTS's rawest, most intense performance segments, such as their hit track On. The members took the stage clad in custom combinations of his signature Gethsemane cargo trousers, rugged utilitarian flight suits, asymmetrical layered shirting, and brutalist GeoBasket high-top sneakers. This wasn't merely about wearing expensive garments, it was a deliberate artistic decision to strip away the pristine, polished boy band stereotype and replace it with a gritty, hyper-masculine, and deeply rebellious energy that completely redefined what K-pop could look like on an international stage. Western fashion critics were stunned to see a pop act seamlessly inhabit Owens' complex, subversive silhouettes and honor usually reserved for underground subcultures, not stadium-filling icons. By transforming Owens' dark, structural garments into highly functional performance armor that could withstand intense, synchronized choreography, BTS demonstrated an absolute mastery over the most challenging corners of contemporary American fashion. This boundary-pushing collaboration sent shockwaves through New York and Paris, making it undeniably clear that the group possessed the rare chameleon-like ability to manipulate high-fashion narratives to their own artistic will. It left the global fashion elite watching intently, completely aware that the next sartorial revolution was already being written on the world's biggest stages. Number 6. The uncompromising streetwear royalty, Matthew M. Williams for Givenchy. When American designer Matthew M. Williams took the creative helm of the historic French couture house Givenchy, he brought a razor-sharp, industrial New York sensibility that completely transformed the brand's DNA. And his very first mission to solidify this new era on the global stage was to dress BTS for their monumental international appearances. Williams, renowned for founding the influential luxury streetwear label 1017 ALYX9SM, recognized that the traditional boundaries between high-end tailoring and raw subcultural streetwear had completely dissolved, and that no one embodied this cultural shift more powerfully than the 7 members of BTS. For their high-profile public appearances and massive stadium spectacles, Williams meticulously crafted custom looks that perfectly blended rigid, sharp tailoring with his signature industrial hardware, most notably incorporating his iconic roller coaster buckles, heavy metal chains, and technical utilitarian harnesses into elegant, sleek suits. This juxtaposition created a visual narrative of sophisticated strength, turning the traditional red carpet and stage wardrobe into a battlefield of modern style where classic luxury met the aggressive edge of American street culture. The American fashion industry watched in absolute awe as Williams bypassed the standard Hollywood elite, choosing instead to debut his most daring, forward-thinking silhouettes on a South Korean group that could instantly amplify his creative vision to billions of viewers simultaneously. By seamlessly fusing the heritage of Parisian haute couture with the gritty, functional aesthetic of American industrial design, Williams didn't just dress the group, he weaponized their global platform to validate his new direction for Givenchy, leaving every major fashion house in New York frantically realizing that the ultimate metric of cultural relevance was now entirely dictated by who BTS chose to wear. This masterful display of contemporary style proved that the group was the ultimate canvas for fashion's future, setting a staggering new standard that made the next major designer alliance not just anticipated, but absolutely vital for survival in the luxury market. Number 5. The tailoring titan of New York, Thom Browne. The American fashion landscape witnessed a tectonic shift when Thom Browne, the visionary designer celebrated for his highly theatrical runways and meticulous reinvention of the classic gray suit, stepped forward to outfit BTS for their monumental global appearances, including their historic speech at the United Nations General Assembly. Browne's design philosophy has always been rooted in strict uniformity, mid-century American conceptualism, and absolute precision, making his collaboration with BTS a brilliant study in structural storytelling. Instead of drowning the group in predictable, flash-in-the-pan streetwear, Browne dressed all 7 members in his signature wool twill suits, crisp white Oxford shirts, and grosgrain trim ties, presenting a visual front of unified, intellectual sophistication that completely dismantled the Western media's preconceived notions of global pop stars. The sheer impact of seeing BTS stand at the podium of global diplomacy clad in Browne's iconic, razor-sharp American tailoring sent an immediate shockwave through the fashion industry, generating unprecedented media value and proving that his avant-garde take on corporate uniforming could transcend the runway to become a symbol of youth empowerment on the world stage. American executives and designers watched with bated breath as Browne successfully captured the group's collective dignity without compromising an ounce of their individual charisma, demonstrating to the entire fashion establishment that BTS possessed the unique gravitational pull to make traditional tailoring look like the most radical, forward-thinking style movement on the planet. This masterful intersection of high politics and high fashion permanently elevated the stakes, leaving the rest of the New York design elite desperately searching for ways to match such a flawless execution of cultural authority. Number 4. The master of California cool and glamour, Hedi Slimane for Celine. The global fashion hierarchy experienced an unprecedented seismic jolt when Hedi Slimane, the notoriously uncompromising French creative director who single-handedly reshaped modern menswear through his indie sleaze and rock and roll aesthetics at Dior and Saint Laurent, directed the full weight of the American-managed luxury brand Celine toward BTS. Slimane, renowned for his obsessive curation of youth culture, subversion of traditional silhouettes, and hyper-specific focus on the intersection of music and style, bypassed traditional Hollywood icons to place BTS at the absolute center of Celine's global universe. During their massive stadium tours and high-profile international media takeovers, the members effortlessly inhabited Slimane's signature vision: ultra-slim, razor-sharp tailoring, heavily embellished leather biker jackets, metallic sequin blazers, and vintage California-inspired rock aesthetics that demanded an attitude of effortless cool. This was a monumental departure from standard pop star costuming. Slimane's designs required a specific type of lean, rebellious posture and cultural gravitas that very few artists in the world could authentically project, yet BTS adopted the look so flawlessly that it ignited an instantaneous global frenzy among fashion critics and consumers alike. The American fashion market, which had long relied on classic Hollywood stars to drive luxury sales, watched in sheer disbelief as Celine's retail metrics and digital engagement soared to atmospheric heights the moment the group stepped out in Slimane's creations. By transforming the stage into a dark, glamorous runway that perfectly fused the gritty energy of Los Angeles street culture with the ultimate refinement of Parisian luxury, Slimane proved that BTS held the singular keys to the contemporary zeitgeist, leaving every rival American designer acutely aware that missing out on this group meant risking complete cultural irrelevance. This explosive collaboration permanently dismantled the old guard of celebrity endorsements, creating a brilliant blueprint of modern style that left the entire industry suffocating under the weight of anticipation for the next sartorial masterpiece. Number 3. The vanguard of American high street luxury, Virgil Abloh for Louis Vuitton. The global fashion landscape changed forever when the late American visionary Virgil Abloh, the trailblazing artistic director of Louis Vuitton Menswear and founder of Off-White, orchestrated one of the most significant cultural alliances in modern history by selecting BTS as global brand ambassadors and dedicating his Fall/Winter 2021 collection directly to them. Abloh, a master at dismantling the rigid boundaries between elite European luxury and the raw, authentic energy of global street culture, recognized that BTS represented the absolute pinnacle of contemporary youth identity, and he used his platform to weaponize their massive influence. Rather than treating the group as passive models, Abloh actively integrated them into his grand artistic narrative, culminating in a historic, specially filmed runway presentation in Seoul where the 7 members transformed a sprawling, industrial architectural labyrinth into their own personal stage, showcasing Abloh's most complex and conceptually daring silhouettes. The members dominated the screen in structural, elongated overcoats, bold aviation-inspired travel wear, striking asymmetrical tailoring, and garments emblazoned with vivid green letters and literal architectural models of skyscrapers emerging from the fabric. This was a radical departure from traditional luxury marketing. Abloh used BTS to challenge deep-seated Western paradigms of masculinity, race, and high fashion accessibility, projecting a bold new vision where diverse global icons stood at the absolute center of the luxury universe. The American fashion establishment watched in absolute astonishment as this collaboration generated billions of digital impressions and sparked an instantaneous, unprecedented surge in global consumer demand, proving that Abloh's signature American design language, when amplified by the unmatched cultural power of BTS, could redefine the commercial and artistic parameters of the entire industry. By transforming high fashion into a dynamic, cross-cultural dialogue that resonated with millions of everyday people, Abloh and BTS shattered the ivory tower of luxury fashion, leaving rival designers across New York and Paris scrambling to comprehend a new reality where cultural authority was no longer gatekept by the West. This historic intersection of American creative genius and South Korean cultural dominance left an indelible mark on the history of style, establishing a monumental precedent that forced the entire fashion world to realize that the future of design belonged entirely to those who could speak directly to the global youth, setting a fierce and uncompromising standard that made the next major creative revelation an absolute necessity. Number 2. The master of eclectic American glamour, Alessandro Michele for Gucci. While technically leading a historic Italian house, the sheer commercial and creative dominance of Gucci's legendary revival was fueled entirely by its explosive impact on the American luxury market, a phenomenon that reached its absolute zenith when the brand collided with the boundary-pushing stage presence of BTS. The group completely redefined the visual grammar of modern pop stardom by adopting the brand's hyper-romantic, gender-fluid, and intensely vibrant aesthetic for some of their most iconic global performances, most notably during their history-making Love Yourself Stadium tour and the record-breaking Dynamite era. Instead of conforming to the standard, monolithic wardrobe of traditional boy bands, the 7 members leaned heavily into a kaleidoscopic universe of silk pussy ball blouses, intricately embroidered velvet blazers, pastel-hued retro tailoring, and heavily patched denim jackets that perfectly mirrored the vibrant, genre-blending nature of their music. This was a highly calculated artistic subversion. By embracing a design language that fiercely celebrated eccentricity, historical references, and non-traditional masculinity, BTS transformed the global concert stage into a living, breathing canvas of avant-garde expressionism. The American fashion establishment, which had long favored safe, minimalist aesthetics for male entertainers, watched in absolute fascination as the group caused immediate, worldwide retail sellouts of highly complex, expensive garments within minutes of appearing on screen. This partnership successfully proved that the group possessed an unparalleled ability to democratize high-concept, theatrical luxury, turning what could have been seen as inaccessible runway art into the most coveted lifestyle statements on the planet. By completely obliterating the rigid boundaries between masculine and feminine styling on the world's largest physical stages, BTS didn't just showcase garments, they orchestrated a massive cultural shift that forced the entire global fashion industry to permanently rewrite the rules of commercial appeal, leaving every major design house in New York acutely aware that the ultimate crown of cultural influence had officially shifted into the hands of these 7 South Korean icons, setting up an electrifying finale that the world never saw coming. Number 1. The arch-tailor of Hollywood royalty, Ralph Lauren. The absolute pinnacle of American sartorial power was reached when the definitive gatekeeper of classic Americana, Ralph Lauren, bypassed traditional Hollywood icons to custom-dress BTS for the historic 61st Annual Grammy Awards, signaling the ultimate institutional surrender of the Western fashion establishment to the cultural supremacy of South Korea. For decades, Ralph Lauren has stood as the untouchable architect of the American dream, a designer whose clean lines, classic tuxedo silhouettes, and uncompromising elite standard have dressed presidents, monarchs, and the old-money billionaires of the Upper East Side. When the 7 members of BTS walked onto the Grammy red carpet clad in custom-tailored, razor-sharp black tuxedos, crisp white shirts, and mathematically precise bow ties from the ultra-exclusive Ralph Lauren Purple Label collection, it was not merely a fashion moment, it was a seismic geopolitical statement that shattered the traditional barriers of Western high society. The American fashion elite watched in absolute awe as these 7 young Asian men took the most traditional, exclusive, and historic uniform of Western privilege and inhabited it with a level of dignity, grace, and commanding gravitas that completely overshadowed every Western celebrity in attendance. This collaboration proved that BTS did not need the loud, avant-garde theatrics of streetwear to command global attention. Instead, they conquered the very roots of classic American high fashion on its grandest stage, causing an immediate, unprecedented surge in global digital engagement and leaving New York fashion executives completely spellbound by their flawless execution of timeless elegance. By seamlessly mastering the most rigid and prestigious corner of American luxury, BTS permanently cemented their status as the ultimate rulers of the global style zeitgeist, closing this historic chapter of fashion history by proving that their influence is no longer just a temporary trend, but an immortal, permanent empire that has rewritten the rules of global culture forever.